I know people tend to look at it as it's positive. Oh, you got this new family, you're loved, everything is Gucci and good. No, it's not. That child is being given up. They're losing their culture, their parents. That hurts, to be given up, feeling like you are not wanted, and they feel like they couldn't take care of you, so they just want to drop you off to the next person. It's not all that. It's not all fun and roses and rainbows and sunshine.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Adoptive podcast. I'm your host, Hawa Zabel.
And I am Famata. Today's topic is going to be a little heavy, so hang in here with us. Before I get into that, if you're an adoptee who wants to tell your story, don't forget to email us at adoptivegals@gmail.com so you can come on here. We would love to interview you and hear your story. And also, we want to make disclaimers that we are for adoption on this channel. So whatever we talk about, we're not against it. We just think it's important to bring out the darkness and the good of adoption. It's important to talk about both of those. Today's story is about a recent story that broke out, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this. West Virginia couple accused of using adopted children as slaves, judge says. So the couple that we're talking about are Donald Ray Lantz and Jeanne K. Whitefeather. They adopted 5 children in total, and let me see. They faced 16 counts, each accusing them of civil rights violations, human trafficking, forced labor, gross child neglect, and falsifying an application. Those are the charges that they're facing with the stuff that came out. Again, they adopted 5 children. Authorities began investigating after they received a call to the home last October from someone experiencing concern about the children's welfare. Sheriff and deputies were forced into a shed. So they showed up the house. They were forced into a shed next to the house where a teenage boy and a girl were locked inside. The children had been deprived of adequate food and hygiene care. The room had no running water or bathroom facilities, according to criminal complaint, and the children had no way of getting out of that. They were just locked in this small shed. Inside the residence, a 9-year-old girl was found alone crying in a loft that's about 15 feet high with no protection from falling. No adults were present at the home. A 4th child was with Lantz when he eventually returned. Deputies were later led to the couple's 6-year-old adopted Black daughter, who had been with acquaintances from the couple's church. After deputies forced in, the girl said that the defendants had brought food to her and her brother earlier that morning, and that they'd been inside for about 12 hours with no contact from the couple. Wow. The girl also said she and her brother were not allowed inside the house and were locked in the shed for long periods of time, every day. God. The children were in dirty clothes, smelled of body odor, and the boy was barefoot and had what appeared to be sores on his feet. The deputy who showed up said the female juvenile also stated she and her 14-year-old brother were not allowed in the house. The 911 caller reported that the children were made to do farm work and not allowed inside the house, according to a sworn statement that was made during the trial. Separately, a U.S. magistrate judge ruled in February that Child Protective Services failed to adequately investigate what happened with the children, and who were left to suffer at the hands of their adoptive parents for months. And I guess the children were with them for a total of 8 years. And we think it's important to talk about this stuff because one thing Howard and I have talked about in the past is that we want to make our channel, we want to take our desire to help the adoptee outside of just a podcast. We want to create some type of organizations where after children get adopted, they need to be checked up on, because there's not a lot of that. Like, there's a lot more stuff helping the adoptive parent, but not the adopted child. It's important to check up on these children. They have to be checked upon so situations like this don't happen. And yes, this is the most extreme case, and cases like this are not very common, but cases where a child, other cases where your child is experiencing like they don't belong or they just are having a hard time fitting in, they also still need to be checked up on. to make sure that they're okay, make sure that they are being treated well and fairly, because this is dark, this is disgusting, and I hope these people spend the rest of their lives inside the freaking jail and never see sunshine again, because this is disgusting.
Hey, this is too much. When I found out about this story and Fatmata presented it to me, at first, I'm not going to lie, I was like, I don't know if I really want to have that on our channel because it's just so dark. But
Mm-hmm.
I realized stories like these really need to come to light.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, like Fatmata mentioned, this is not every single adoptive
Mm-hmm.
situation. This is the abnormal. But even though it is extreme, that just goes to show, again, the really dark sides of neglect, child neglect, and what can happen in adoption. And this type of stuff happens because there's not enough um, agencies that do the
Mm-hmm.
job of really, really looking out for the child's welfare. You know, there's
Mm-hmm.
not enough welfare agencies for adoptive children. And I mean, I know that, there's CPS obviously ended up coming, which is amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
shout out to the neighbor that actually called CPS on this family, on this couple. I
Mm-hmm.
don't even want to say family because these are like demons. The devil
Yes.
is always working every single day. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that these children were victims of such horrible, nasty, nasty things, it's just like so disgusting. And it's
Mm-hmm.
important to bring light to this because it does happen enough. There's been other cases with adoption where kids have been brought in to be like
Mm-hmm.
slaves, or they've been not even quotations, like literally been treated like slaves. There's
Mm-hmm.
been kids who have been brought in and adopted, and they were um, uh, intentionally starved to death,
Mm-hmm.
and and locked in, chained down in the house. I remember reading of this Ethiopian, I think it was a boy or a girl, but this
Mm-hmm.
Ethiopian kid was adopted and was starved and chained down, locked in,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually ended up dying. And
Oh,
so these type of stories are just so disturbing to me and so disgusting, but they really need to be brought into light.
yeah.
And it just makes me think like about the process that was put in place for these type of people to be
Yeah.
adopted, to be able to adopt children. Because I
Yeah.
think from what the article was saying, the mother had some mental issues, correct? I think she had
I
some
don't
mental
remember.
issues or
I don't
something like that.
remember reading. I don't remember reading that in the article that I read. But there's so many articles out there that probably say something along the lines of that, and that goes back into, again, when it comes to adoption, people are just it can be a money thing for people, where they don't do the research that needs to be done on these families that are researching. Like, what is their mental health like? What is their history with, like, the culture that they want to adopt? Like, what are they thinking? There's not enough research. It's just, oh, we have a family that wants to adopt these kids, and so they want to give them a good home, to just, here we go. No, no, there needs
Interesting
to be.
Interesting enough, when I was looking up as part of research for this like YouTube video, I looked up, is there a program, or do you get checked up on, do adopted kids get checked up on um,
Mhm,
after adopted or whatever? And you know what kept on popping up? Like
mhm.
questions, that were asked most often was, do you get a check when you adopt a child? And I was like, that is not what I'm asking. I'm asking, do these children get checked up on? But they're referring to check as in the money. Do you get a monthly fee? Do you
Yeah,
get paid monthly for adopting a child? And it just goes to show how much
it's not enough.
money greedy these people are. It's like that's like the first thing that they think about. Some people, their business is just having kids, whether that's biological and being on welfare, um, or adopting and trying to get some type of money from that.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And that's why I think it's so important for us to actually do start this program outside of this, because we need these kids to be okay, because that's unfair. The children has already been through like so much trauma already, and adoption itself and being given up is another is trauma. It's so traumatic. I know people tend to look at look at it as it's positive. Oh, you got this new family, you're loved, you know, everything is Gucci and good. No, it's not. That child is being given up. They're losing their culture, their parents. That hurts, to be given up, feeling like you are not wanted, and they feel like they couldn't take care of you, so they just want to drop you off to the next person. It's not all that. It's not all fun and roses and rainbows and sunshine. There's a dark side that exists to it. And no matter how beautiful it looks, there's still going to be a dark side into it. And again, these extreme cases, you know, like we talked about, these are not, you know, very common all the time happening like that. They do happen, but we also want to focus on cases where we've had someone in the past, like one of our first guests, Esther. She was being essayed in her family by her father,
Her
and
adoptive
if
father.
yes, and nobody went in to check up on her, check up on the family and see how she's going. Like if she was checked up on, maybe they were able to find out, okay, we need to figure out how to rehome her because she's being SA'd.
Oof.
And people just don't check up on children. Like, it's disgusting. Like, children are not some accessory for you to have. They're not for you to get them to make yourself look good, whether it's, you know, missionary looking good at the church and stuff like that. They're not accessories. So if you're going to adopt, you're gonna have to come from a place of actual genuine. You are genuine, and you do want to give children that need a home a good place, and that you are going to do the work that needs to be done to make sure these children are taken care of physically, mentally, and emotionally. Like, it's not something that's so easy and fun. Adoption is not fun. I'm sorry. There's nothing fun about adoption. It's not. It's hard.
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to cut you off, hon.
No, I'm basically done. I'm done.
I was gonna say, so, you know, a lot of people ask us if we want to adopt.
Mm-hmm.
We've, you know, been adopted, and if we want to give back. And honestly, it's not a yes. It's definitely not a yes. I mean, it's not a hard no, but it's
Mm-hmm.
more towards, for me, like where I'm at in life, a no. Um, because I realize that adoption is not something that should just be taken lightly. It shouldn't be taken
Mm-hmm.
as due just because you want to do good and give back and, you know,
Yeah.
and whatnot. If I were to adopt, I'd adopt a Black child, probably someone
Mm-hmm.
African, but um, I'm not going to just adopt just because I've been adopted and I want to do good
Yeah.
for other people who've struggled as well. Because you, again,
Mm-hmm.
I would have to be ready mentally. I would have
Mm-hmm.
to do all the work, the research to make sure that I'm ready to have a whole another human being in my life that's gone through so
Yeah.
much to be able to take care of them to the best of my ability. And that
Yeah.
is a lot to take on. You know what I mean? It's so much to take on. And it reminds me, you know, this story kind of reminds me of this other lady who was adopted from Sierra Leone, actually from our orphanage. And she was adopted and she moved to Minnesota. Like Minnesota is like the center of all adoptees, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is about Minnesota. Maybe they have some benefits or something. They might pay you guys a little extra to adopt children. But um, I remember that yeah, she got adopted. And I remember when I went to visit her, and I was really young, so I didn't fully understand what she was talking about. But at this point, she was like an adult. And she was like, she couldn't really say much about her experience. I think there was a lot of trauma she had experienced after getting
Mm-hmm.
adopted. And she was like, you know, it's just so sad that no one even came in one time to check in on me. No one,
Either. None of
not
us,
one
including you.
person out of
Yeah.
all the years that I was adopted came in to check in to see that I was doing okay. Because
Mm-hmm.
in that household, nothing about it was okay.
Yeah.
And she didn't really go into details, but for me to hear that,
Yeah.
it broke my heart.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. Like, nobody came in checking on me at all. Nobody. And I'm sure the same thing for you, Hawa. Like, nobody ever came up. Like, I'm trying to think, no one. And when it goes back to the somebody had asked this question, and I actually wanted to make this into like its own topic by itself about whether or not we want to adopt. For me, it's not a yes, it's not a no. I don't know where life is gonna take me. Right now, no, I'm 28 years old. I'm still trying to figure out my life. So I can't just pick up and adopt. Like we talk about adoption, it's not just something you just get up and just do. It takes a lot. And I also realized a lot of adoptees tend to want to have their own children because they felt like they've kind of been disconnected from families, from their birth family and their adoptive family. They want to have their own children to see get that connection of, oh, this person right here is my blood, like, they're mine. So I think I can see a lot more, adopted children choosing to have their own children versus adopting because they're looking for that like connection of my blood and having that feeling of taking care of their own kids and being like, I would never give you up. I'm gonna do everything that I can to you're my life. You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
it comes to adoption, I don't, that's again life. I may 2 years from now want to adopt. I don't know where life's gonna take me. But when it
Yeah.
comes to just being checked up on, that's something they just do a terrible job on when it on that because you should not just drop off a kid and then never check up on them again because in your head you think, well, they're good people, and that's the idea of adoption. If you want to adopt, you must be a really good person, and people just look at you like you are so amazing. Look at what you're doing. You probably don't do anything wrong. There's no way you're a bad person. There's no way you have ill intent because you want to give your home to a child that's not yours. So you are just amazing. And no, what the heck? People be putting on like a facade
Yeah.
every day, even if you adopt or you don't adopt. People putting on a facade all day and every day to make themselves look good to people. It's just like not every adopted parent out there is good hearted. No, they need to be checked up on, and it's
And
sick.
it just makes me think about like going back to the story of this couple. Um, it's like the fact that their mindset and I forgot to mention, I don't know if I want to mention this, but they're trying to plead, of course, not guilty. And it's
Yeah.
like it's like, how do you plead not guilty when all the proof is there? There is something mentally wrong with you. It's not like you murdered somebody and there's no proof attaching you to the murder. There's
Hmm.
proof. There's video recordings of these children, being enslaved, being
Yeah.
trapped and locked in this house. The neighbors see it every single day. Like, how can you plead not guilty?
Yeah.
And so it just goes to show how disgusted and demented these people's heads and mindset are. And so
Hmm.
it kind of makes me wonder, like, the process again of adoption. Like, how can you allow people like these to adopt people, to adopt kids? And what are the measurements put into place to make sure
Mhm.
that mentally you're prepared for adoption? Yeah, you might have the money. Yeah, you might have the house. Yeah, you
Mhm.
might have you know, from the outside it just looks good, but
Yeah.
mentally, like, how there needs to be a thing, something in place to check that these people are mentally prepared. Because for
Yeah.
you to think that you're not guilty for enslaving children, locking them in the house, making them work all day, all night, barely feeding them,
Yeah.
having a 9-year-old in the house by themselves up in a loft that's freaking
Mhm.
100 feet high up or whatever, just
Mhm.
disgusting. It's just, yeah. It's,
And it just goes back into the whole like dehumanizing black people, how a lot of white people don't really see black people as humans. So that's why it's easy for them to do that to a child. To look at a child and lock them in a shed all day and have them do
I think
labor.
they
That's the
probably thought
like,
because the black child they
oh,
would get away with it less more.
yeah, exactly. You're gonna get it more, and because again, they let them adopt because again, the white saviorism um, concept of white people know best, they do best. So they're gonna be fine. They're not going to do anything to them. And of course, if you look at this couple, if you see a picture of them, you would never think that. You would never. They look like they're older couple. They look sweet, of course, but the devil is beautiful. All right, the devil looks amazing. The devil is never how you think the devil's gonna look
Mm.
ever.
Girl, we were just talking about that, and I was like, this man
Yeah.
looks like he could be somebody's uncle. He looks
Hmm.
like he the the wife looks like she could be a teacher. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? She looks like she could be teaching art class or something like that. Like it's just like so disgusting and disturbing. Like you just don't
you could
know
be
how people think and operate behind closed doors.
you could be walking past them every day, going to the grocery store. You have
And
no.
thinking they are just so sweet and amazing. Maybe they come over and give you some
Of
tea, but then, they go back home and enslave their children. It's just like
disgusting. Yeah.
horrible. It's just disgusting. And I think there needs to be more agencies and programs that are adoptee first, that are really checking up on the welfare of adoptees, that
Hmm.
really um and I think honestly the only ones that are going to make that happen are kids, that people that got adopted, because we know what it's like to go through that journey. We have that passion to want more, and there's purpose aligned with it. Um, you know what I mean? To actually want to do better for our own and people who've gone through experiences that we have, because
Hmm. Yeah. And
I feel bad
and
those kids have to go through that.
another reason why I wanted to bring this on here, because this channel is always adoptee first, and not because we want to just exclude the parents, because it's also the parents as well. We're telling our stories and our experiences from the adoptee perspective, so it's going to be adoptee first. So I hope, if these children come across this channel, what happened to you was disgusting. You not deserve that at all. You are still lovable, you are still amazing, and I hope to God you find a family that loves you and cares about you, that treats you well. Know that what happened to you was unfair. It had nothing to do with you at all. It's just the people who decided to adopt you. They're evil. They're disgusting. It had nothing to do with you at all. And we're truly so sorry. Truly so sorry that you went through that, because that's not okay at
And
all.
those aren't real parents.
They're not
I hope
parents. Yeah.
that you guys get readopted or put into some type of care where people genuinely
Mm-hmm.
care for you and support for you, because that is not a parent at all. Those are not what parents do or how they operate at all whatsoever. And you guys were with them for 8 years. That is just, that's a
I don't.
long
I can't
time
imagine trauma. I cannot imagine trauma. Oh, it makes me want to cry. I cannot imagine trauma. Like,
to endure that. And also on top of that, these people had the kids homeschooled intentionally. So they had no
oh
way to
God,
be
I
going
did
out
see
to that
read that.
house. So not only were they were homeschooled, but they weren't really doing any schooling. But that's what the couple said, on paper, to make it look good. You know what I mean? So
Which
that people
Yeah,
wouldn't
which
feel.
was perfect to continue their abuse, because they kids can't tell anyone.
Yeah, exactly. It was just a disguise and a way to hide what was going on behind closed doors. And I'm just so sorry you guys went through that. And I could only imagine, uh, you know, I can only imagine what you guys have endured. And I pray that you guys get some type of peace and healing in the future, and you really get a family and, adoptive parents that really do want to support and have the best for you.
Yeah. Yes. That's really all we have to say on this story. If anything else comes out, if that needs to be talked about, we can talk about it. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. I know this episode was a little heavy. Let your friends know about our channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and comment in the comment section. And you're an adopted, you want to tell your story, because we believe telling your story helps you heal. Releasing some of that is really good. Let us know. Don't forget to email us at adoptedgals@gmail.com. Till next time. Bye.
Guys.